Welcome back. Welcome back. You are listening to Whissel Weekends here on AM 1170 The Answer. You can also tune in to us if you're in North County on FM 96.1. My name is Kyle Whissel, your host with Whissel Realty Group. Joined as always by Mr. Jason Hall with Team Home Loans. We've also got Mr. Brian Kochi, the media and marketing manager at Whissel Realty. And last, our special guest today, Mr. Rob McNelis with Movement Mortgage and Santee City Council.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right,
you.
so
Especially with the election, right? Tuesday.
It's just a matter of days away. So, Rob, I want to give you the opportunity to just kind of talk about, your position and what your goals are should you be reelected to
and
City
before
Council.
you get into that, let's offer up on Facebook Live if anyone has questions. You good with that?
Absolutely.
If you guys have questions for Rob, and ask him now. We'll hit him up in the next segment. But Rob, go for it. The floor is yours.
Okay. So we understand, not just me, but as an entire city council, we understand that growth is a major concern for people, especially Fanita Ranch. In fact, my opponents tried to make, and Preserve Wild Santee, they tried to make this whole election about Fanita Ranch, and it's not. It's not about Fanita Ranch. It's about everything else that the council does. In fact, because of the initiative, there is no way that the Santee City Council could even do anything with Fanita Ranch until at least 2020, if not after. And that the only thing we can do is put it up for as a vote for all the citizens of Santee. So the citizens of Santee will be voting for it. I'm 100% behind the citizens of Santee voting for Fanita Ranch. Doesn't bother me at all. In fact, takes a whole lot of pressure off of all the council members for that.
Yeah, it should be brought to the city, right? I mean,
it's a big project.
The actual people, because it is going to impact everybody, good and bad. And there's pros and cons. We've talked about it on the show here in the past. So
there are, and the other concern is traffic. And I've received a fair amount of flack on why traffic actually exists, and it is actually it's a very new phenomenon of routing apps that have plagued small town USA like Santee.
I hadn't thought about that.
It's Sandag. This wasn't our numbers. It was actually Sandag, San Diego Association of Governments, that did a report for us that showed us that 71% of the traffic that's at the Mast and 52 entrance right there, the most impacted part of Santee,
on
hands
Mast
down.
Past West Hills.
You got it.
Yep.
So 71% of that traffic right there is from outside the city of Santee.
That's crazy. Where's that coming from? Lakeside mostly?
It's coming from everywhere.
Yeah, I don't even drive from La Mesa. Sometimes it's had me get off the freeway, because when you're talking about the maps, it has me get off because that merge right at 125 and 52 so bad it takes me around, and then I get stuck in the merge you're talking about up here on Mast and 52.
Exactly. And so I was at another political event breakfast thing Friday morning in La Mesa. And there were a bunch of people there. They're going, "Oh, really, really?" And then afterwards, people coming up to me going, "Oh my gosh, I live in Lakeside, I live in El Cajon, I live in La Mesa." And yes, I use that Waze app, and it always drives me through Santee and has me get off the freeways and use your side streets.
Yep.
It's now you just think about this in the small segment.
Just one person you think about.
There were half a dozen people out of 40 that came up to me and told me about it. How many of the others didn't tell me about it and used apps like that? And how many people, anytime that they're going to Kearney Mesa, Mira Mesa, people actually going the other direction, coming from Ramona and going and using us as a path through to the south to go to the 125 and stuff. It's the same thing. They use us as a pass through.
Well, and even go up to the military bases. I mean, it's North County's crazy busy. So
those apps are definitely driving a tremendous amount of traffic through our streets that otherwise are not there. If you're going to be in town center and it's a weekend, we have a lot of shopping. That's what we want people to come in and do their shopping because we need the sales tax revenue. But the vast majority of the time, if it could still take you, it could be 1 o'clock in the morning and take you 20 minutes to get from one end of town through the other because of all of our signals.
So what's the fix? What do you
that's
do?
the funny thing. That's what I'm saying. This is a new phenomena. There are fixes for it, but the problem with those fixes are they're fixes designed to deter people from getting off the freeway and using your streets. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Well, if you're deterring people, the way you do that is by adding speed bumps, more stop signs, more signals, traffic circles, all those types of things. But what you're also doing is, no left turns in this intersection, all that kind of stuff. What you're also doing, though, is for your Santee residents,
Yeah.
You're making it more difficult for them to traverse their own community, not just the 2 peak traffic hours, but the other 22 hours of the day as well.
No left turns. I hate those no left turns.
During these hours or whatever, and you're like, okay, which one is it?
Yeah, Coronado's got that everywhere. By the time I figure out, okay, is it between these hours on these days?
People are honking at you.
Yeah, I can't figure it out.
So yeah, it's one of those things that it's not just Santee by any means. You can Google it. You will see literally thousands of articles nationwide of small town USA, just like Santee, that's facing the exact same traffic issues. And doesn't mean that you just shrug it off and say, oh, well, it is what it is. No, we actually started the 52 Coalition, which is the first organization of its kind, especially in East County. It was started by Santee. We are the ones funding it up front, but we've hired federal lobbyists to go after funds to help fast track widening the 52, because the only thing that's going to help us mitigate this problem is to add more capacity to the freeway, so it makes
And you guys have the acreage. The room's there. Right. I believe when I'm looking as far as widening the 52.
Yeah. Yes. So there's actually a quick way to fix a lot of it is there's a bike lane that gets used by
10 bikes a week.
Maybe. Maybe.
You know what? If we take that away, I think we're doing them a favor.
So
that hill's so crazy.
What necessarily wouldn't take it away, but that bike lane was designed as a freeway lane. So the structural integrity of it is much stronger than you would have for a normal bike lane.
Okay.
So with that in mind, you could take that bike lane and turn it back into a freeway lane like it was designed to be, and then add a new bike lane, which could be done at a fraction of the cost of a normal freeway lane.
Yeah,
the structural integrity that you would for a freeway lane.
Good point, Rob.
On the bridges that are coming in, they're actually technically wide enough for 3 lanes, where they narrow down to 2. They're wide enough for 3 with just simple restriping. And people go, well, yeah, but then there won't be a shoulder, and if there's an accident, it's gonna block one of those lanes.
We'll just roll them past the bridge.
Guess what? Yeah. If there's an accident on it now,
one of the lanes that didn't exist before.
There you go. So you're concerned about the 1% of the time where there's an accident there.
Not even 1%.
But let's give it that. You're concerned about that versus the 99% that it's going to be open and wide. These are things that could be done with far less dollars than truly adding multiple lanes to the freeway and all that kind of stuff. And it's realistic. It's realistic that it could be done in a reasonable amount of time, not waiting until 2030 or 2050 when Caltrans says that they have it on schedule to do currently.
Yeah, I can't imagine waiting that. We've talked about that with the mayor. That would be just way too long.
Yeah, and Glenn and Steve and Kimberly have some questions. If you guys, they are asking on Facebook Live. If you guys have questions, ask on Facebook Live. We will get to those in the next segment. We just want to let
perfect
a couple more people ask some questions here.
And then the last thing that people keep talking about is, like I said, development. It's not just, they try to make us about Fanita Ranch. We already solved that this will be something that will be voted on by the people sometime at 2020 or later. But it will be voted on by the people. What happened was that and had this initiative that got signed, that got the signatures, had it actually been truly, because they keep saying it was no Fanita Ranch, no Fanita Ranch, no Fanita Ranch. Had it been just that, I think every single council member would have been fine with it, just approving it. But because they made it any changes whatsoever to the general plan in zoning, of the general zoning changes in the general plan have to go to a vote, the unintended consequences are huge for us. And that's what we're dealing with now, which is why we had to make sure that we did a fiscal impact report to see what those fiscal impacts will be on the city's general fund by not allowing some of these changes. Like we changed one area that was zoned for commercial and changed that to residential, which actually reduced the traffic impacts of that particular
area
lot. Yeah.
Right.
Because it went from a 400,000 square foot office building to 82 units. 400,000 square foot office building is going to have that's a big facility and would bring in a lot more traffic into that area. So we significantly reduced traffic by doing that. And all people talk about is no, it's always up zoning. No, it's not. We've actually down zoned. Anybody you guys know oh goodness, the senior facility, Lantern Crest. Oh my goodness, I was going to call it Eagle Crest, but Lantern Crest. So that facility right there, they're trying to expand their memory care facility And this happened right after the initiative was approved and certified. So they can't expand because the lots that they needed, that they already had, the lots that they needed were zone residential, and we need to turn those to commercial to help provide for memory care facility for our seniors. And we can't do that now. Now they're going to have to pay the money to get it on a ballot and then pay the money to promote that ballot.
And wait until 2020 to do it.
At the very earliest.
Yeah.
Bummer.
These are the unintended consequences that people don't think about because this is what we do. This is what we do. This is we get the staff's information. We have the best of the best consulting us on this, and that's how we're able to make these decisions. We don't make knee-jerk decisions that look good from the outside, not knowing all of the details and all the impacts. Does that make sense?
I love it.
It's a lot of stuff, man. I'm just sitting here going, good thing I'm not in politics.
It's just further.
I'm glad Rob's willing to do it.
Yeah, just further reinforces my decision that I'm not cut out for politics.
Yeah, you need people to step up and do it, and it does take a lot of time, a lot of energy, a lot of studying. I mean, I can tell you've spent a lot of time, and not just weeks or even a few months. We're talking about years,
decades.
And being a resident for 24 years makes a huge advantage for you doing that versus, somebody just showed up a few months ago.
I love it. So if you guys have questions for Rob McNelis, if you're tuning in on Facebook Live, which you can tune in every Wednesday at 12:30 on the Whissel Realty Group page, we're always Facebook Living the show. So if you have questions, ask them on there. If we don't get to them on the show, we'll come back and make sure we get to them afterward. And if you're listening live on the air, Saturdays at 3 o'clock, you can always tune in to that Facebook Live. So ask those questions. We're going to head to a break. When we get back, we're going to answer your questions with Mr. Rob McNelis, Santee City Councilman. You're listening to Whissel Weekends, AM 1170, The Answer.